Surprised, shocked, disappointed, all of the above. I mean, to an extent, this can be deemed a more catastrophic implosion, and kind of depends on the context you define it in, but is hard pill to swallow. And following the Leverkusen defeat, now a 2-2 draw against Bodo Glimt of all teams, Dortmund are left with a huge question mark going into the final two games of their before the winter campaign. And I seriously have to now call into the tactics of Niko Kovac on several instances. Have to question his in-game managerial decisions, his on-field calls. I thought he got a lot of them wrong, and yeah. So quite frankly, where do we start? I mean, we start with the fact that Dortmund dominated this game. Again, you're gonna miss chances. That's understandable, but you need to be more clinical. And football is a game of missed chances. We understand that. We get that. And if you don't score goals, you're gonna not win football games. And I think Dortmund massively underestimated Bodo Glimt today, and thought that this would be a walk in the park. Also, given the fact that we're at home, but it wasn't, evidently. And poor that we conceded the two goals. On paper, a different Dortmund team under different circumstances would have beaten them in commanding and controlling fashion. It didn't happen tonight. I think it was lovely that Niko Kovac started Fabio Silva. It was lovely that he gave different players an opportunity to showcase what they have. I think that's what these games are for, against weaker opponents or perceived weak opponents, where we give the young players, especially the players that we signed, an opportunity to showcase what they're all about, and to sort of tie them into the starting 11 going forward. I just think that it was disappointing, sort of our display, and I think I expect a lot better. And now I will call into question one thing that has sort of been circulating the media, not only sort of the last 2 weeks, but sort of since Jurgen Klopp departed, since Dortmund went through a tough stretch and didn't win a title. I'm going to call into the lack of championship caliber, the mentality that is ingrained in a lot of players. Now, I mentioned this when I was referencing Arsenal and why they have never gone on to win silverware under Michael Arteta, and I will bring about this matter with Niko Kovac and with the Dortmund players. Dortmund do not have players, or rather I should say this, Dortmund have players that have international experience, that bring a lot of sort of minutes on field, off field, are good leaders. But when it comes to clutch situations, when it comes to winning games, they do not possess that innate ability of championship mentality, that different sort of gravy, as Jose Mourinho would say. Dortmund's team, Dortmund's individual players are not sort of that type of material. And the only player noteworthy of any praise is Nico Schlotterbeck, who consistently, game in, game out, leaves his heart, body, and soul on the pitch. He is reckless in his challenges. He is on the front foot. He goes forward. He really, really loves Borussia Dortmund. And it's a shame that we're in this situation that we find ourselves to be in. And I definitely think it's down to mentality. I think it's down to a lack in leadership. It's down to coaching instructions not being clear enough. It's down to mismanagement right at the highest of levels. No clear ambition set out. Dortmund's youth system, which hasn't really taken off, or has really fallen off rather, in the last 3-4 years, ever since the likes of Erling Haaland and Gio Reyna and Duranville and Mukoko and all these other players came through the ranks. Dortmund just hasn't been the same. So I think there's a lot of issues we have to focus on at Dortmund. And I can only repeat myself when I say that Dortmund has to set up a clear vision. They have to leave the past behind, because it's not been particularly bright. It's not been particularly amusing. And they just have to focus and rebrand their style of football. And do I believe that Niko Kovac is the right man? I do, just because he has a different temperament and has a better way of controlling and commanding his approach. And I therefore deem him to be the right man for the foreseeable. If the results turn pear-shaped and Dortmund continue to fall off and we spiral in towards a negative trend, then obviously I think we should seek a replacement. But as of right now, it's just disappointing that we have to now beat Tottenham and beat Inter Milan. And I just know, and this is not me being pessimistic, this is me sort of frequented football term, me being realist, optimist a realist optimist, right? A realistic optimist, and we're not going to be one of those two. So it's just disappointing that we have to give us the hardest path. And I think it's very apparent that there's a lack of mentality, a lack of winning mentality. Sergio Guirassy obviously doesn't want to play for us anymore. We understand that his time has passed, and he's going to be offloaded in the summer. And Dortmund should then just go off of that and really kind of reshape and rebrand their identity, because it's telling that they're struggling, and the loss and the draw against definite weaker opponents hurts. And this is the situation we're in, and Dortmund just need to carry on.